All right, welcome back, everybody. It's 10 minutes before 7 o'clock here on Morning Live. Now, with the debate around the rand declining, one can't help but worry about how it is going to affect the ordinary individual like you and I. The fact of the matter is it impacts us all, even through petrol increases, food upturns, and it really hits our pockets in every single way. Frank Magwegwe, the CEO of Momentum, joins us now in studio just to talk a little bit more about what this is going to do to South Africans. Now, it's good to have you, Frank. Welcome to
Good
Morning.
Thank you,
Live.
Leah. Thank you for having me on the show. Good morning to the viewers.
Yeah, it's been a very tough week. I mean, we started off first thing Monday morning, the Black Monday, with the currency and world markets declining at the fastest rate that we've seen in many, many years. And then, of course, we get GDP figures coming out last year. Just talk to us of what is going on. Firstly, let's talk GDP.
Yeah, so I think we've got our own unique set of factors, Leah, that are contributing to a weaker rand. Certainly one of them just being the local picture in terms of GDP growth. Numbers that came yesterday, showing slowdown, and State SA attributing that mainly to, challenges with consistent power supply. So, there again we point our problems to, to Eskom. So on top of that, clearly just with this weaker rand, it means quite a few things. As a financial plan at Momentum, clients say, who cares, this week rand? And I turn back and say to them, are you worried by higher cost of medicine, higher cost of fuel, which will lead to transport, higher cost of servicing debt? So as you said in your intro, absolutely without a doubt, that, significant pressure on consumers as a result of the weak rand. And Leon, it's not only about the level of the rand. I mean, the Reserve Bank took the uncharacteristic step early in the week of commenting not so much on the level, but that they are worried about the volatility. Manufacturers struggle to plan. When you've got a currency that is at 13.10 at the end of last week, goes all the way to 14, has now pulled back. So those ups and downs in the level also make it absolutely difficult for companies to plan.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, it must be an exceptionally difficult time for companies right now as we sit here. But if we have to look at the average South African and how our lives are going to be affected by all of this, what's going to happen? I mean, we're going to see, as many people are saying, fuel prices, all right, Absolutely. We will see it going down this month, but next month, I can only imagine we're going to really take a hammering.
Yes.
Food prices, big problem. How else are we going to be affected?
Let's touch on food, Len, to just make it concrete out for the viewer. So if you just think about maize, a staple food.
Yes.
We're going to import in South Africa 50,000 tons of maize just because of the level of the rand now. It's going to be nearly 80% more expensive than same time last year. So that immediately says a staple product like maize meal, prices are going to go up. Then the Reserve Bank will have to make a decision given the weakening rand and its impact for inflation. We have to raise interest rates. And already we're seeing signals that interest rates might go up. Now, what does that mean for the consumer? We know in South Africa currently, your average household is sitting at 70% household debt. That simply means 1,000 rands coming in the bank, 750 rands is going out to service debt. House, car, retail stores. So the cost of debt is going to go up, because interest rates are likely to go up. So the message out there to the consumer is certainly one of saying, it's time to tighten the belt, watch your expenses, interest rates are going to go up, do not take unnecessary extra credit. Any money that you have, try to reduce your debt. Otherwise, it's going to be very expensive to service debt.
So what you're saying right now is not the time to take a loan. It's not the time to go and buy a brand new car, and perhaps you were looking at upgrading your house. Maybe stick around in your house for a little bit longer, because you are going to be paying more. Is this the kind of advice you're saying?
Absolutely,
keep
without
a modest
doubt.
lifestyle.
Yes, and in fact, Len, you touch on car prices. Because most of the components priced in dollars, that actually means our car manufacturers, even though they have huge export programs, they at some point, just given the volatility of the rand, will actually have to sit back and say, are they going to raise prices of new cars? So definitely, prices of new cars may be going up, cost of debt going up. Certainly not the time to go out there and consider, buying a new car. Tighten your belt, cut expenses. It's going to be a little bit of a rough ride.
Every newspaper I turn to this morning, and pretty much so everywhere you listen, everybody's talking about the possibility and the reality that we are heading and very, very fast into a recession. What are your views on this?
I think, indicators are pointing to that. And there is a bit of a disconnect between financial markets. So if you look early in the week, because of the problems in China and predominant Asia region, we had the contagion effect because we are also an emerging market. And then you see, 2 days later, the market recovers all those gains. But if you look at the economy, absolutely, without a doubt that it is challenging. Again, if you look at levels of unemployment, you look at the GDP numbers, definitely, the picture is one of an economy that is really struggling to grow, particularly as a result of shortages on electricity. And there is, a possibility that we might tip into a recession.
Yeah, which is very worrying for the consumer. So what we need to do is just tighten the belt. Don't buy things that you don't need at this point in time. But unfortunately, it's the poorest people who are going to be suffering the most, especially when you talk about the price of maize and basic products, not fancy products, basic products.
Yeah, absolutely. And without a doubt, I was thinking about it driving here to say the lower end of the economy, people with less income, they are definitely going to be hit hard. Even though, the higher end, the prices of their, Gucci, they are going to go up because, the rand is much weaker. But, those people have more disposable income. They can handle increased prices of luxuries. But certainly the lower end of the market is tough. And not only, is it about prices going up, companies finding it tough. Local companies without opportunity to do any exports. It means their cost base is going up. They don't have increased revenue because they don't export. And ultimately, that actually might lead to job losses, Leanne. Again, another reason why consumers have to just make sure that they contain their expenses because, you may lose your job just because of the economy stuff.
Prepare for the worst. That's, I suppose, the advice we can give you now. CEO of Momentum, Frank Magwegwe, good to have you here in studio. Thanks for the advice. Thanks for the knowledge on the current declining rand and basically the economy that is not doing too well with no hope of a recovery anytime soon. Let's take a break. We'll see you after this.